So, good day everyone. For today's reporting, we will be talking about this saga entitled Norse-Sigurd the Volsung. So, without further ado, let's get to know the author of the saga of Sigurd the Volsung, and he's no other than William Morris. So, William Morris was an English writer, poet, artist, and translator. He also adapted the story from the Old Norse Volsunga saga in 1876. So the original Volsunga saga was written in Old Norse by an unknown Icelandic author around 13th century. But William Morris made it famous in English through his poetic version titled The Story of Sigurd the Volsung and the Fall of the Nibelung. But today we will just be focusing on the Sigurd the Volsung. So this story, the saga of Sigurd the Volsung, comes from Northern Europe because it is based on Norse or Scandinavian mythology. So the ancient myths and legends told by the people of Iceland, Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. So the story begins with the Volsung family, a royal line said to be descended from Odin. So Odin is the chief god of the Norse people who controls fate and helps heroes. So Odin is their god. So King Volsung have a brave and noble ruler, has many children. His most famous ones are Sigmund, his strongest and most heroic son, and Signy, the Sigmund's loyal and wise twin sister. So they are twins. So at Signy's wedding feast, an old man who was Odin in disguise appears. He thrusts a sword into the great oak tree in the middle of the hall and says that whoever can pull it out will own the best sword ever made. So many try, but only Sigmund, the brave prince and warrior, pulls it free. So out of many participants, only Sigmund won the challenge. This becomes his prize weapon. So later during the battle, Odin appears again and breaks Sigmund's sword. So Sigmund is mortally wounded and tells his wife to keep the broken pieces of the sword for their unborn child. So he prophesies that their son will be even greater than him. So mas kusgan pang ayang maabot na anak. So their child, named Sigurd, was born after Sigmund's death. Sigurd grows up strong, handsome, and courageous. He is raised by a Danish king and taught by Regin. Regin is a skilled blacksmith or also called as metal worker. And he is a wise teacher, though secretly greedy and jealous because later on, Regin was the plan to betray Sigurd. So, Regin often reminds Sigurd that he is destined to the great deeds. He helps him find a horse with the help of Odin, who appears again to guide Sigurd. So the horse is named Grani, a powerful gray horse descended from Odin's own magical horse Sleipnir. So Sleipnir is the name of Odin's horse. So Regin, being a master blacksmith, reforges the broken pieces of Sigmund's sword into a new one called Gram. So, gihimo to niya, gipangan niya Gram. So, kay blacksmith man si Regine na siya ability na mo panday, so, which is sharp, it can be cut through an anvil. So, to prove his bravery, Sigurd decides to kill Fafnir. Fafnir, our fearsome dragon who guards a mountain of gold. So Fafnir was once a dwarf, but his greed for treasure turned him into a terrible monster. So meaning Fafnir was not always a dragon. He was once a dwarf, but because he was so greedy for gold and treasure, his greed and evil desires changed him into a fearsome monster. So Regin tells Sigurd how to kill the dragon by digging a pit and waiting for Fafnir to crawl over it, then stabbing him from below. So Odin appears once again, still disguised as an old man, and warns Sigurd to dig extra trenches so that dragon's poisonous blood won't kill him. So Sigurd follows this advice and When Fafner passes over the pit, he drives Gram deep into the dragon's heart that caused his death. So, naghuwat si Sigurd in a hole for the dragon to pass, and then stab it in the heart with his sword and killed the dragon. So, after Fafner's or the dragon's death, Regin asked Sigurd to roast the dragon's heart for him to eat. So, ang heart. While cooking, Sigurd burns his finger, licks it, and suddenly understands the language of the birds. So, magical ka itong heart sa dragon. So, the birds warn him that Regin plans to betray and kill him to take the treasure. So, Sigurd, realizing the danger, kills Regin first. So, upon realizing the plan of the betrayal, gipatay na lang daan niya ni Sigurd si Regin. And he then eats part of the dragon's heart and drinks its blood, which gives him great strength, wisdom, and courage. So, nakapatransform to ang heart of blood sa dragon. So, Sigurd takes all of Fafner's treasure, including the cursed ring Advanranot, which brings misfortune to everyone who owns it. He loads the treasure onto Granny's back and rides away to seek his destiny. So, Advaranot is Advaris' ring. It once belonged to the dwarf named Andvari, who had a great treasure for gold. When his ring was taken away, Advari became angry and cursed it, saying that whoever owned the ring would suffer bad luck, greed, and death. So, katong ring naa siya'y sumpa. So, during his journey, Sigurd comes to a mountain surrounded by a wall of fire. Inside, he finds Brunhild. Brunhild is a beautiful Valkyrie, meaning a warrior maiden of Odin who chooses who lives or dies in the battle. So, siya magbuot nga say mamatay o say mabuhi in the battle. So, Brunhild is a slave because Odin punished her for disobeying him. Sigurd, fearless and kind, rides through the flames, removes the magical thorn from her body, and awakens her. So, pinatulog ni Odin si Brunhild bilang parusa. Nang makita ito ni Sigurd, dumaan siya sa apoy ng walang katakot-takot. Tinanggal ang magical thorn sa kanya at kinising niya. So, parang fairy tale moment kung saan ang hero ang nagligtas sa prinsesa. So, very familiar. So, they fall deeply in love. Sigurd gives Brunhild the cursed ring as a token of his promise to marry her. So, they swear to love each other forever. But that's not the end of that story. So, later, Sigurd travels to the kingdom of Nibolang. So, it is ruled by King Gyoki, a powerful and respected ruler, and his wife Queen Grimhild. Si Queen Grimhild was a cunning and ambitious woman who always wants to strengthen her family's power. So in other words, Queen Grimhild is ambitiosa. So they have three sons, Gunnar, a brave but a very clever warrior, Hogni, wise and loyal, Guttorm, the youngest, impulsive and inexperienced, and one daughter, Gornon, who is kind and gentle. So King Gyoki and Queen Grimhild have three sons, namely Gunnar, Hagnai, Guttorm, and the daughter named Godran. So Queen Grimhild gives Sigurd a magic potion that makes him forget about Brunhild, and under its spell, he marries Godran, her daughter. So it is now the beginning of the tragic love triangle. So later, Gunnar decides to marry Brunhild, but he cannot pass through the wall of the fire that surrounds her. So, through dark magic, Sigurd takes Gunnar's shape, rides through the flames on Granny, and wins Brunhild for Gunnar. So, na-twist ang story. He does not teach her, but he gives her the same cursed ring, not realizing that this ring will reveal the truth later on. So, Brunhild marries Gunnar, believing him to be her true rescuer, but when she sees Gudrun wearing her ring, she realizes the truth that Sigurd, her true love, had tricked her and married another woman. So, in other words, Brunhild was betrayed by Sigurd. Her heartbreak turns into anger and vengeance. She feels humiliated and betrayed by both Sigurd and fate itself. So here it's almost the death of Sigurd. So Brunhild, furious and full of pride, demands that Sigurd must die. So tungod sa pain na iyang gibati, ganahan siya manimalos og patyon si Sigurd. So Gunnar and Hogni afraid to go against her. They plan Sigurd's death but cannot kill him and they cannot kill him themselves because they have sworn loyalty to him. So they send Gotthard, their youngest brother who has not sworn any oath, to do the deed. So kipasi yung bunso, no? While Sigurd sleeps beside Gudrun, Gotthard sneaks in and stabs him with a sword. So dying, Sigurd hurls his sword, drum, and cuts Gotthard in half before taking his last breath. So isan pagti kamatayan na si Sigurd, nakabawas gihapon siya kay Gotthard. So, when Brunhild learns that Sigurd is dead, he is filled with both sorrow and guilt. So, nakonsensya po siya and she stabs herself and orders to be buried beside Sigurd on the funeral pyre so that death may be finally be united. So, makausag hapon sila bisag nangamatay na sila. So, what the saga of Sigurd the Volsung is all about? Here is it. The saga of Sigurd the Volsung is a famous Norse legend that tells the story of Sigurd, a brave and noble hero who is destined for greatness, but also for tragedy. So, it is usually the tale of heroism, love, betrayal, fates, and the curse of gold. So, and the main idea of this story is the saga is about how Sigurd, born from a powerful family blessed by the god Odin, grows up to become the greatest hero of his time. So, siya jud may ilado sa nga tanan. He performs many heroic deeds, the most famous being when he kills the dragon Fafnir, who guards a huge treasure of gold. So, bayani na siya sa nga tanan. So, but the treasure is cursed, meaning that whoever owns it will suffer misfortune and death. So, even though Sigurd wins glory and riches, the curse slowly destroys him and the people he loves. So, the treasure that he won or gives him victory is the same treasure that would cause his own death and the death or the trouble or the misfortune and misery of his own family or loved ones. Thank you.